Recording is on.
All right, I can see V, Ishmael, Dave. Thank you very much for that. So without wasting much of our time, today we're going to quickly do a quick recap. So the recap we're going to be covering what we treated in our last class. So we're going to talk about the automation libraries we discussed before. We're going to talk about the document loaders and text loader that we discussed in our last class. And we're going to also talk about how we also used OpenAI for building our chat bot. So we'll do a recap for that because I know you guys mentioned that you really wanted to basically follow along in the last class, right? I'm also going to share the code with you guys so that you are going to follow along, right? So I'm going to be dropping it in the community. Just make sure that you're active there and make sure that you also follow along, right? So I'm going to share my screen right now. Once you can see my screen, kindly give me a thumbs up. Can you see my screen, guys? Okay, very good. Max is saying he's excited to be here. That's awesome. That's awesome, right? Today we're going to actually talk about Langchain and AI agents, but I want us to do a recap of what we treated in our last class. Yeah, V, one day. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, right? So day three, let's do obviously we're in day four, right? We know that we are in day four because you can see welcome to day four right here. But today we're going to be doing we're going to day three recap first before we move on into day four itself, right? So who can quickly give us a recap of what we treated in our last class? Anyone in the chat? If you want to talk, just raise your hand. I'm going to give you the floor. On Saturday, what were you able to cover during our day three class? I know I talked about many things, and just see what you're able to pick up, and we'll move on with the class. Or do you want me to call names? Yeah, I think I can actually call names because I have some friends right here. Um, Peter, are you there? Peter, can you hear me? Kindly unmute your mic and let's hear what you have for us. Just a quick recap. Nothing that complex, right? Okay, if Peter is not there, let's move on to the next person. Max, are you there? I mean, if you were not also available, just mention that you were not available. Then we'll move on to the next person also. So we don't waste too much of our time.
Yes, I'm around. I'm around, but I wasn't able to attend the last session. My
Oh,
apologies.
very a good thing is that the recording has been dropped on the Discord. Have you seen that?
On Discord.
Yes, it has been dropped on the Discord. So if you have not watched that video, you can actually go ahead to watch it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. So let's go on to the next person. Dave, are you there? Can you unmute your mic? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Hello.
please go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. The last class I think we talk about the Python refresher and the
Mm-hmm. Good.
LLMS. Yeah.
LLMs. So LLMs,
LLMs.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So and
But quick one, before you continue, can you tell me what LLMs are? Quickly.
uh, you want the meaning of LLM?
Yeah, just the meaning, yeah, basically.
A large language model.
Yes, large language models. All right, continue.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I was not able to end the class because uh, I had some issues with my PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we been able to resolve that?
Yes, today I'm okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Would that be all from your end?
I think someone can pick it from there.
Okay, good. So Peter is back right now. Peter has his hand raised. Dave, yeah, you still have your hand raised. Do you want to say something?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, guys. I think I heard my name like when someone was speaking there, but I was like, hey,
Yep.
let me let them speak. Sorry for the delay in that.
All right, sure.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Yesterday was mostly just
Conversation.
LLMs, which are large language models, and we
Mm-hmm.
learned that large language model is you talked about llama or llama. Large language models, models that you can actually train so that they interact with you like a human being. They can reason like a human being. And you took us through like a refresher course on Python, on data structures, how to manipulate a list, and you really quizzed us on the modulo, which is basically a way of checking if a number, if you divide another number with another number, there's a remainder or not.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, basically that's what I remember from yesterday.
Okay, very good. Yes, I mentioned that large language models are basically just type of AI that basically used very huge data sets and deep learning to basically understand and generate human language, right? So I said they're very good at generating text, generating video output, generating audio, and the likes, right? And we basically just scratch the fundamentals, right? And the reason why we did that is because you just need to understand, you need to know what LLMs are if you want to work with AI agents because they work hand in hand, right? And in this lecture, when we are talking about, when we start discussing about what agents are, basically today we're going to dive into the core fundamentals, understanding what they are, right? So today, by today, if once you understand what AI agents are, once you understand, we'll basically dive into the ecosystem of Langchain also, just to see what these tools are. So basically, once you can understand that, we look at some real world applications of AI agents. We look at the architecture of AI agents. Then we'll just get a little bit introduction to what Langchain is, and we'll play around with it. We'll set up our account also using Langchain, right? So once we can do that, then our next lecture will be able to build something minimal, a project that is very, very minimal, so that we can see what we're talking about, right? But with that being said, let me quickly do a quick recap about on what we treated in our last class, so that we can all be on the same page, right? So you remember that. So let me just go back to the slide quickly. By the way, if you want to have access to this slide, it's also in the documentation. You can always go ahead to check it out, right? Remember we talked about what large language models are. Um, we talked about working with. We did Python refresher course, obviously. I also gave you guys the GitHub URL for those that don't have the GitHub URL. Um, so you can just check the Python. So you can just check the Discord channel. Everything is basically dropped there. You can go ahead to play around with this Python refresher because I told you earlier on that if you want to see updates, in case I push this repo, you can start the repository, fork it, play around with this, right? It's basically documented. You can see everything is well structured. You can see control flow, data structure, functions. Everything is well structured. And if you remember too, in our class, we did the hello world, we worked with recap of variables. We talked about operation operators. We talked about how to use a basic Python method, which is dot split method. We also did a quick example about control flow, where we talked about what if is, what elif, and what else is. If you remember, where we did our example on checking to see if a student is eligible to attend one dev class, right? So we talked about the introduction. We also went ahead to talk about loop. We talked about loop. We said loops are basically loops is a statement that allows you to perform repetitive tasks, right? So I did this example that okay, how about if I want to print out my name in Dave World and I am refreshing my Python skills like 10 times or whatsoever. We have to write this over and over again, which is not advisable for us. As a developer, we should always have a way we can actually make our life much more easier. And that was why we talked about for loop. And you can see how we just did it in just 2 lines of code, right? And how does for loop works? For loop, we give it the keyword, right? We know what keywords are in Python. Keywords in Python are basically just those predefined words that already has functions in Python. So in the chat quickly, I want you guys to drop examples of keyword that you know in Python. Quickly, examples of keywords in Python. Like I said earlier on, keywords are words that are inbuilt and they already have the predefined meaning, they have the predefined function already in Python. Okay, we have type functional. Nice. Let's keep it on. We have like over over 50 keywords in Python, right? We have def, right? And def is a keyword that you use when you want to define a function. We talked about functions also in our refresher course, right? So we have a lot of them. We have the if, elif, for, in, right? They are all keywords in Python. We have break, we have continue, and the likes, right? We also talked about data structure quickly. We talked about what is data structure, different types. We talked about the list. I know what lists are, right? Lists are basically items. Lists are of data structure that can be used to store list of items, right? So it can be in integer, it can be in string, in floating point number, whatsoever, right? List can take any type of data type in it. We also talked about the function, which is where we talked about the def keyword, and that was where we stopped for the Python refresher course. All right, we also moved on after that. Okay, can you guys hear me in the chat just to confirm? Hope there is no any noise coming up from my side. Very well. Can you drop a yes in the chat if you can hear me very well and there's no noise? Just to proceed, so we can proceed on time. All right, thank you, Steve Azumba. All right, very good. Then after that, we moved on into document loaders. Remember, we talked about document loaders, right? So we said that whenever we are building RAG application, if I go back to my slide, remember I explained what RAG application is, the steps. Um, right? So remember I explained this to you guys, right? So whenever we are trying to build a RAG application, which we're going to do an example also, um, whenever you want to build a RAG application, there are some certain things that you need to know, right? Remember, the first thing is you need to know that when you're building a RAG application, you need to load your data set, right? So that's where data ingestion comes in. You have to ingest your data, right? So that data ingestion, you can actually load your data either is a text, either is a PDF format, either is a web format, whatsoever data you are trying to work with. And that was where we talked about data ingestion, and we saw how we can ingest like text data. For example, we had this text which is inside this data folder, speech.txt, and we saw how we can take this speech.txt and load it inside our Python environment code base, right? And that's what we did right here. So you can see we have loader is equals to text loader, which is coming from Langchain community document loaders. And you see that Langchain is actually very, very versatile because we can use Langchain to do various numbers of things that I'm going to also explain in today's class, right? So we saw we can load in a text using Langchain. We also saw we can print out the content in that text in our VS Code by using text um, dot page context just to get out the context that we have in that particular text file that we are trying to build. All right. We also we can load PDFs. We add this PDF, which is coming from this Gen AI assignment. I showed you guys what it looks like. It's basically just an assignment that was done by one of my students. Um, Back then, one of my Gen AI students, and you can see we just have like the Gen AI content right here. What is artificial intelligence? Basically, just simple AI introduction, right? Supervised and unsupervised learning. So we saw how we can actually use the PDF loader from Langchain communities, right? You can see we're working with document loaders right here. We saw how we can do this, right? Load this by using PDF, PyPDF loader. And don't forget that every library that we were using was coming from the what requirement.txt. We already had Langchain installed, we had Langchain community installed, we have PyPDF installed, we had Langchain text splitter, which I'm going to talk about very soon. And that is why we were able to load this particular PDF file. And we saw how we can also load it by using loader.load, and we print out the content that we have in the document, right? And you can see that we have that written right here. So after that, we moved on also, and we talked about text splitter. And when you're building web applications, right, I mentioned earlier on that after you ingest your data, you must also split your data into smaller chunks, right? And the reason why we need to split our data into smaller chunks is because if you are trying to train a large, if you are trying to build a RAG applications rather, and you're saying that okay, you have PDF file of over, let's say, 10,000 pages, and you're trying to train your AI model to understand context based off of what we have in that PDF file, it's going to be difficult for us to just pass in that 10,000 file at once to the LLM and tell it to basically interpret the results for us. One is going to cost you a lot of tokens, and if you are consuming a lot of tokens, that means that you are basically going to be wasting your API keys, right? If you check out ChatGPT, remember we explore ChatGPT. So let's go back to ChatGPT OpenAI. Go to ChatGPT. Sorry, OpenAI API models, right? Let's just go ahead to explore that. And you see how much they charge per tokens, right? So let's wait for that to come up. Um, so you see why I said it's very, very important for you to break your documents into smaller chunks. And that's why text splitter is very important. So if we go ahead to go to pricing, you will see how they charge, right? Um, so let's go to okay, this is GPT 5.1, and you can see how much it charges for the text token. So let's go to okay, you know what, let's work with batch, and you can see for the input token it has what 0.625. There's something I want to show you guys very well, which is more detailed. Let's go to text token. Come on, quickly check out something. Okay, let's go back to the person there. But yeah, you see how this model works. But this model basically works based off of the way that we pass in token into them, right? You can see GPT 5.1, $1.25, and the likes. You can just go through this, right? But what I'm trying to tell you is that the more token you are passing into your model, the higher your price is going to be, right? We don't want a situation whereby we're just going to be like feeding our models with a lot of tokens, and you just see that your money has actually finished already, right? Basically, why text splitter is very, very important. Um, is because when after you've ingested your data, you've loaded your data either using text splitter or using by PDF, whatsoever form, you can load data through JSON, through Wikipedia, through websites. It depends on whatever task you're working on. So after you've been able to load those data, you need to break them into smaller chunks, right? You need to break them into smaller chunks, and that's why text splitter comes in, right? We can actually break PDFs into smaller chunks, or you can decide to break text into smaller chunks. It depends, whatever you want to do. And we're going to do an end-to-end project where you would see how we are going to load in like a PDF. So, for example, we can say we want to build like a chatbot for one day, and we can call it um, one dev chat or chat one dev, something like that. And what we do is we tend to create a PDF that has all the details, important details of one dev. Then we build a RAG application system that can go ahead to answer question based off of that PDF, or we just train the model to understand that PDF and we can go ahead to ask it question from that PDF, right? So you will see how we can build all of this end to end when we are building our final project, right? So that's why all these things are very important. And we just did a very simple example of how to do all of this, right? So it's very important to know how to split your data. After you split your data, there are other steps, which is you taking those data that you've splitted and you tend to turn them into embeddings, right? And the reason is because obviously we know that AI models, or we know that computer system does not understand text. So we need to take those text and turn it into embeddings. And embeddings are just bunch of vectorized formats of those words, right? Zeros and ones and the like. And after you've split them into embeddings, you now go ahead to store them into a vector DB, which is a vectorized database, right? So a vectorized database is just like how you have Postgre, how you have SQL, right? What do you do with them? You store your database in SQL, you store your database um, in Postgre, in MongoDB, whatever form you're using. Same thing applies to model AI models too. When you vectorize your file, you need to also store them in a vectorized database. And examples of vectorized database are what? Okay, you want me to zoom in? So examples of vectorized database are what? We have FIAS, right? I don't know if you've heard of FIAS before. We have ChromaDB, right? And there are we have Pinecone also. Yes, we have Pinecone. There are a lot of vector DB out there. So after you store your vector DB, then that's where you now go ahead to do your you relieve your relevant information, then pass it to your LM, and you get your output. So there are steps to this, right? And once we go along to continue building our project, you will understand and see how we're going to go about it also, right? So we talked about text splitter, we talked about how we can use recursive character text splitter by passing in the chunk size and chunk overlap. And remember that I explained what chunk size is and what chunk overlap is, right? So chunk size is just the number of size that we are using to basically they are using to break your they are breaking your document into. So right here, passing in 1,000, and chunk overlap is just the overlap that is used to remember the previous chunk that was actually broken down, right? We were able to do just this simple example right there. And also we talked about OpenAI, right? We did a minimal chatbot where we were able to basically use OpenAI. OpenAI models are not free. If you go ahead to come here and just OpenAI AI API pricing, right? So if you want to subscribe to API pricing, there is um, so there is a way you can do this, but all you need to do basically, you don't need to actually say, you just need to fund your account, right? So let me just show you what I do on my own profile. So for example, let me check my billing. I think I'm almost used my billing finish, right? But yeah, once you create an account, you can see I'll just feel money here. But once you create an account, all you need to do is to add credit to balance, right? And I think the minimum that you can add is five. So this is what you can add. The minimum is five. So once you create an account, the minimum of amounts you can add to your API key is $5, and the maximum is $98. It might be different from you based off of your geolocation, right? But for me, it's just within $5 and $98, right? And basically, I actually know how to manage my model. So sometimes when I want to fund, I just fund like $20, and $20 actually lasts me to do some solid facts, right? You can also fund yours. You can fund $5 or whatsoever if you want to go ahead with that, right? So that's that about OpenAI model. And we also worked with Grok. I explained what Grok is, so let me just go ahead to talk about Grok. So we talked about Grok, and we talked about why Grok is very important, right? So Grok is actually a platform that was built for developers, right? For basically building fast response to. So when you're using your model, they claim that their model is very faster because of the type of GPUs that they use. I think they say it's used something like TCP, tensor processing units. Let me see. So if you go to platform, let's just see. So I know that Grok claims that they are not using GPUs. If you know about OpenAI, you know that they are using GPUs and all of that, right? But Grok is basically using, I think, desktop processing unit or thereabouts, right? I know it's listed somewhere. LPUs architecture. Okay, yes. Okay, LPUs. Remove traditional. So you can see compiler and software-defined single core architecture remove traditional software complexity, while continuous token-based evaluation delivers consistent performance without trade-off. Every cycle of accounted for no wasted operation and no unpredictable delays. So basically, what they were just trying to do is they said they produce a platform that can actually that is more faster and is more efficient, right? And we saw we can use these two different platforms to actually build a very simple chatbot. And we use Streamlit, Grok, and OpenAI to do that, right? And how do we do that? We have the same prompts which we passed in. So let us quickly run ahead through this code base so we can go on into what we have for today, right? And we add the provider models, which is the OpenAI, right? 4.0, then this. So remember, we got our models from OpenAI, right? Remember the link I shared with you guys, where you can see the models. Again, to get that, just come here to dashboard or docs and just come to models. You will see all the models that are available right here: GPT 5.1, or whatever, Sora, whatever model you want to use, you can go ahead to use that, right? And you can actually use some of these models for image generation, right? So yes, I know there was one time I built a project, and all I had to do was just to use OpenAI API to basically make sure that whatever the user is trying to submit to my database is classified as not something that is spam, right? If not, it's not allowed to basically submit your data, right? You can play around with OpenAI; it's very, very good. We also have Grok. Grok is also a very, very good model, and I used Grok in building one of my portfolio back then. So let me show you what I did back then with Grok, right? So basically, you can use Grok for different things. For example, if you are trying to build your portfolio and you want users to be able to basically ask questions, right? Back to back questions, you can go ahead to use Grok for that. And I remember I used Grok for one of my portfolio that I built back then. So let me just show you guys how the portfolio looks like. And for those that are familiar with, um, come on, let me just quickly make sure I'm sharing my screen very well. For those that are familiar with, sorry, okay. So for those that are familiar with, come on, I wanted to show you guys something. Yes, so there was this website that I built back then. Let me go back to share my screen so you can see. So basically, what I did is I just used Grok to basically build like an AI assistant that can help you to answer questions on my website, right? So, for example, if I say hello, hello, and I send my message, I actually use Grok for this to actually just build it. You can see, hello, welcome. It tells you about my name. Then if it tells you, if you ask it like, what is Dave Ward latest experience. That's just something like this. And you send the message, it's going to go ahead to tell you immediately and very fast. So that's why I say Grok is also very powerful. If you actually play around with Grok, you see how seamless you can use that. You can see it's going to tell you my experience that I had. I'm very, very, it's something very simple and minimalistic, right? So basically, you see the power of Grok if you play around with that. And if you go out in documentation, and you read through this very well, you see that you can use different models. You can models that are available in the Grok ecosystem. We have Llama, we have Whisper 3, and all of these models are free, right? But they also have a pricing plan. You also need to take note of that they have a pricing plan. But the free plan would actually do you something very, very solid. So yeah, we talked about that. And quickly, let me just go ahead to run this project. Remember, we talked about creating a function to generate the response, which we're passing the Grok and the OpenAI model. what's supposed to be the system prompt and the user's question. So we use that. We build like a Streamlit title. We build a Streamlit sidebar, select box, text input, and we're able to build this minimal chatbot, right? If you guys want to recreate something like this, you can go ahead to recreate something like this. The code base is going to be dropped in the Discord channel today, right? So let me go ahead to run this again my terminal just to make sure this works fine. Sorry, I'll do Streamlit and I'll do run chatbot. .py. All right, we already have our virtual environment enabled, which is AI automation. Very good. And if you come here, you would see that yeah, you can switch between your Grok OpenAI model. I displayed this for you guys if you guys remember, right? We have your Grok, we have your OpenAI model to basically pick from. So if you just pick any OpenAI model, yeah, all you need to do is just to pass in your API key, right? So let me check if I can grab an API key that was given to me. Come in 1 sec. So let me just grab this OpenAI key and use it. See if it works. Not sure if this has been fixed, but we can try it out to see if it's working. Um, so if I go ahead to say, okay, hi, um, who are you? Right. So let's just say, who are you? We hit submit and let's see if we get our response. Okay, yes, we are getting our response. You see, hello, I'm an AI assistant here to help you. I can say, who built you, right? And I hit submit. It's going to tell you I was built by one dev. And why is it saying one dev right here? Is because of how we did our prompts, right? System prompt here. And helpful assistance built by one dev. All right, so it's very, very important. And the reason why it's important is you need to also understand what prompt engineering is. And we'll talk more about that also when we are building our project. So let's try out the other one that we did. We did also Grok, and I know I added some ENVs. If you want to get your Grok ENV, you can as well do that. It's free, so you don't need to copy mine. You can just go to Grok and just paste your ENV. So once you come to Grok, go to your dashboard, you see your usage. You can create API keys. So custom API keys right here. You can see I've used some of these before, and it's free. Just go to Grok, sign up, you'll be good to go. Let me just drop the sign up link for you guys so that you guys can go ahead to play around with Grok. All right. Steve, hello, you're welcome. Cynthia, I hope you can see my screen very well right now. So yes, so if I come ahead to say hi and I click submit, I'm using Llama currently. You can see it's giving my answer very fast and very smooth, and it's actually free to use, very free to use. Um, Quen is always thinking first, just like DeepSeek, then it gives you the output. Hello, how can I assist you today? All right, Cynthia, that's good. So we're able to build this, and I hope you guys basically understood this. Again, if you want to watch the video, you can go ahead to watch the video. The recordings are live on YouTube right now. So let's go into today's section quickly. So today we'll just quickly talk about Langchain and AI agents. We're going to talk about the basics quickly. We're going to scratch the surface and make sure we understand what these terms are. Right. So I'm going to go ahead to turn off my camera so we can focus more on the slides. So yeah, what are Langchain and AI agents? So we already did our recap, and what we're going to be covering in today's lecture is we're going to be covering what AI agents are. So what are AI agents? We're also going to talk about real world applications of AI agents. Where is AI agents currently being used? um, and what can we actually use AI agents for? It's very, very important. And it's also very, very necessary when you are learning about AI automation because these agents are something that can perform tasks autonomously without you explicitly telling it what to do, right? And this is with the help of LLMs also. All right. So we're also going to talk about the architecture of an AI agent, basically what AI agents basically consist of. And we're going to talk about introduction to LangChain, which we're going to be exploring the LangChain ecosystem set up an account, and make sure that we are ready to go for our next project. All right. So before I get started, has anyone heard about AI agents before? If you have, just drop it in the chat. Have you heard about AI agents before, or have you used anyone? Or do you, if you want to talk also, you can just raise your hand and just quickly give us a quick recap of AI agents if you have used it before. Anyone? Okay, I think you guys like me calling names. Okay, we have somebody hand raised. Is that so, or is it a chat that was dropped? Okay, let me call names. Um, Steve Azumba, are you there? Okay, we have somebody hand raised. Lynn, please go ahead.
For an AI agent, I understand it's more like it's like a chatbot, but then it has a way. It doesn't really follow a given path on how it does its workflows. So
Mm-hmm.
it is able to understand the problem and find a way or a path through which it can follow to, which is actually dynamic to solve a problem that it's supposed to.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good. That sounds good. Well done on that end. And you are very correct. Basically, AI agents are systems that can reason, plan, and make decisions and act autonomously to achieve goals. And this is very, very important because it goes beyond charts. It's not like you are just prompting it to, let's say, tell me how or tell me what is AI, and it's telling you AI means AM, artificial intelligence, blah blah blah, here and there. It's actually agents that can use tools, that can browse websites, and that can complete tasks, right? And you need to think of it like an AI agent, like a junior staff who works for you. Um, I don't know if you guys heard about the new AI agents that ChatGPT produced. So let me see if I can bring that up. Um, so I want to see if I can bring that video out for you guys so that you guys will see what's. Okay, so now let's look into this together. If you guys have not seen this, just look at the new or how ChatGPT AI agent works, right? It's very, very sleek and straightforward, right? So they introduced ChatGPT agent that's bridging the gap with chat research and action. So let's look at this together and you see what I'm talking about, right? So you can see takes action on the web, searching for things by itself, searching for flights, um, basically navigating those routes, right? It can run codes also, analyzing Q2, agent connect your apps, connect it to Gmail. So you can see that basically agents are something that can perform work autonomously. Another example of AI agents where is very much used in also is in code base. So if you guys go to your VS Code, once you go to your VS Code, I want you to click on this icon that you are seeing here. So if you are using VS Code, you will see this also. It's called Copilot. I'm sure you must have heard of Copilot before. And you see that Copilot right now, you can also build with agents, right? And what do I mean by this? Okay, for example, if I want to work with agents, I can work with agents, I can plan, I can click on Ask, I can click on Edit. But right now, we're going to talk about agents. And why is agent very important? So, for example, I want somebody to drop for me in the chat a quick task that you want us to build quickly. Something very simple that you think we can actually just build. Maybe a little project or something, just a minimum task. Or you know what? Let's do something quickly. Let's say we have this chatbot, for example, now we already built this chatbot. I want to write documentation for this because I know that it'll be like difficult for people to think about that now. But let's say we want to write documentation for this chatbot that we just built, right? We can actually ask our AI agent to actually run this task for us. Obviously, if we want to write documentation like this, we can go ahead to do that by ourselves, but it's going to take 30 minutes, if not 1 hour, to actually write documentation for this. But with AI agents, you can pick out the context that you want to provide it with. For example, I want you to write documentation off of this chatbot.py, right? So I'm just gonna unselect this. So I'm gonna tell it I need you to write a minimal documentation for my um, chatbot application. And right here, you can select any LLM that you want to use. Now, you can see why it's very important to know what LLMs are. So let me zoom in for you guys so that you see it very well. All right. And why it's important to know what LLMs are? So we already talked about what LLMs are, and we have different types of large language models. So remember in our previous class, we mentioned that we have what um, GPT-5, different type of models, right? We have GPT-5, we have GPT 4.1, we have Cloud Sonnet 4.5, we have Cloud 4, we have GPT Codex, we have Cloud IQ 4.5 also, I guess. We have Grok with the K. Um, we have Gemini 2.5, different models, and each model have uh, their own what should I call it now? Their own space they are good in. For example, if you want to write code, 4.5 is also very good. Sonnet. If you want to perform, if you want to do something that has to do with planning and reasoning, GPT-5 Codex is very good. So you can still we have different models right here, and you can use whatever model that you like. If you actually click on yours, you might not see these premium models. You might see this GPT 4.1, 405, Grok, and other free models also. So I'm going to tell it to write a documentation for me, and I'm going to tell Cloud Sonnet 4.5 to do that for me. And I'm going to click enter. And you can see it's showing working right now. It's going to be telling you the detailed step of what it is doing for you, right? So you can see optimizing tool selection. Has chosen that. Now it's working for us. Telling you I will analyze the chatbot application and create a minimal documentation for it. It has read the chatbot. It has gone ahead to read my requirement.txt, which I add here, and now it has created a readme.md file. And you can see everything that is putting here by itself. And now it's telling you created. So you can see it's telling you the step-by-step process of what it did. And now he said I've created a readme.md file with minimal documentation covering installation, usage, feature, and supported models for your chatbot application done by Cloudflare 4.5. And this is the power of this is the power of agents, right? You can actually go ahead to perform tasks, and here you can see keep and undo. It's telling me, okay, I can go ahead to review this file. If I'm fine with it, I can go ahead to keep it. If not, I can undo the changes. And if I want to read this documentation, you can just click on Control P and type preview. Sorry, Control Shift P. Sorry, Control Shift, Command Shift P rather, and preview. So show preview. And let's look at what it was able to write for me. All right, so you can see it just added this minimal documentation, AI chatbot, a simple Streamlit based chatbot that supports multi LLM providers. Feature supports this installation, usage, Streamlit, run.py, how to run the chatbot. It also added the provider and the supported models for me, right? So you can see how agent is basically helping me to perform my task without me even stressing myself under what means I'm done with this documentation. I can go ahead to keep this because this look absolutely great. And that's a very small example of what you can use AI agents for. And it's very, very important to understand that they are systems that can reason, right? They can plan and they can also make decisions and act autonomously to achieve goals. Right now you see developers that have experience in writing code base before all these AI agents start basically evolving. Right now you see that most of them just go ahead to use AI agents to complete the tasks. I can share you a story of one of my colleagues that I did a gig back then with 2024, and basically we were tasked to actually build like a a SaaS application, right? And we had like a minimum of 3 months to complete this project. And what the plan that we just did is we went ahead to review what was the fastest way we can work on this project in completing it in less than 3 months, right? And basically, what we had to do was to go ahead to pay for a particular premium model. I don't know if you guys have heard of augment code before, right? So basically, pay for the model, and the model was able to help us to do some certain project structure. It helped us to basically create structured documentation. It helped us to perform some simple tasks that if we were to do this by ourselves, it should probably take us like 4 to 8 hours to actually complete it. That means it's going to take us our whole day. But these AI agents are something that can complete tasks in less than 5 minutes, right? And the reason why it's evolving is because if you're a very solid developer and you know how to use AI agents, trust me, you are going to be super productive. And I'm sure that some of us already using this AI agent to actually write code and and do different stuffs, right? So let's go into the basically the characteristics of AI agents, right? So what are the characteristics of AI agents? They decide what to do next. That means once you can give them context, once you can tell them what to do, they are going to decide what to do next. And you can see an example is what we just did right here. It's telling you chatbots, I'm going to read this one next, I'm going to create this readme, and finally it's created the readme for us, right? So basically, they decide what to do next. They use tools, right? In the background, they're using this one is using what tool are using? Cloud Sonnet 4.5, right? That's one of the key tools that is using to actually run his tasks. And also you would see that they listed here that we they can also break down tasks, which is very true, because if you look at what we had right here, it didn't just pass taking my prompt and just generate the readme for us. What it broke down the tasks into what into step by step. You're saying first I'm going to read the chatbot to understand how my code base works. It had to read it. That means it understood it first. Then after it saw that I'm using some libraries, it went ahead again to read my requirement.txt file. Then it now created a readme. So this to tell you how they can actually go ahead to break down tasks and they can improve with feedback. What do I mean by this? So for example, if I say I can say great work. Um, I want you to let's say add a step by step process on how to create a virtual environment and pull and install these requirements files there, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click enter. So great work. You can see I didn't even tell it that okay, great work. Um, pick this readme.md. I was actually in my chatbot.py file, but the agent know that okay, based off of my previous tasks, right? It knows that it needs to edit what readme.md, and you can see right now it has added what create a virtual environment task, and I can review this. If I see that it's good to go, so right here I can just open my preview again, make sure everything works fine, and you can see that's added what create a virtual environment for me. All right, and you can see python 3-m this and this. and it's now telling me added step-by-step instructions for creating a virtual environment and installing the requirements, including commands for both Mac OS and Windows, right? So you can see how I'm going to go ahead to keep this also because it's actually a great work. So you can see how AI agents can actually improve with feedback, and it's something that if you get yourself familiar with AI agents, especially if you're very good with basics, then trust me, you are going to be good to go. So what are some examples that what are some examples of what this AI agent can actually do, right? They can actually search for flights, search flight APIs, right? It can filter based on price. It can compose an email. It can send it. So you can see example is what we saw right here. Let me go back. What we saw right here in this introducing OpenAI, right? It can go ahead to actually search for flights. It can go ahead to perform tasks autonomously by itself without you even doing anything, right? So if you go to openai.com, then ChatGPT agents, just go ahead to explore it. So right here, if you just wait a minute, you see it's searching for flight example, right? Then afterwards, it goes ahead to read that, find the best filtering and stuff like that, right? And I've seen people using, I've seen academic researchers using ChatGPT to basically run some background agents that helps them to look for award-winning, amazing scholarships, right, that they can apply for. If you are using the pro version of ChatGPT, you obviously see that you can actually use AI agents there. Um, and it's a tool that is getting evolving with time because trust me, the more data that ChatGPT is using, OpenAI ecosystem is using to build their models, the more better those models are going to become. So that's why AI agents is just starting out. We are just in the beginning of AI agents, right? So yeah, let's talk about the uh, difference between agentic AI and traditional AI right now, right? Because if we notice, you'll see that traditional AI basically gives one directional output. That means that it can actually does if you ask it question, it's going to actually just give you reply based off of the question that you asked it, right? So traditional AI answers question only, while AI agent is going to basically walk through multiple steps to get to your answer. For example, what we just experienced right now, when we asked our AI model to generate a video for us, you can see that it broke the tasks into steps. Then it uses the tool, the memory to act autonomously, right? Which is very, very important. All right. And so you can actually just take a look at traditional AI as a calculator, whereby calculator, whatever you type into it, it gives you your answer without doing something unique, right? But you can look at AI agents as a personal assistant, whereby if you give your personal assistant to actually do a work for you, you might not really get the expected output. You might get something very unique, which really makes sense because if you come to think about it, you would see that if I'm giving, for example, if I'm giving Dave an assignment and if I'm giving V and Lynn an assignment, right? Obviously, so let me confirm. You guys can you guys still see my screen? Can you drop a yes in the chat if you are following? Okay, we have a yes confirmation. Very good. Thank you. Oh, I can see you guys are very active. All right, thank you very much. So yeah, as I was saying, if you come to think about it, you would see that, for example, if I give Dave an assignment and if I give V and Lee an assignment, obviously, if they do not copy themselves, they are supposed to produce something unique. They can't obviously give me the way V is going to write our output would be obviously different from the way Dave or Mula is going to write his or her output also. So we can take a look at AI agents as your personal assistants, where they are very, very good in producing vast variety of data, right? Or vast variety of outputs, right? Um, Also, Another key difference between traditional AI and AI agent is one respond and the second one takes initiatives. Obviously, you know that it's traditional AI that actually responds to whatever question you ask it or whatever input you give it. It basically just gives you direct answer. But if you are talking about AI agents are going to go ahead to think, right? They're going to take initiative. They're not just going to say, okay, this is your answer, bam. It's going to go ahead to think. Sometimes it can go ahead to go through your file or do some one or two things just to make sure that it's doing the right step, right? And traditional AI actually has no memory, while agentic AI has short term plus long term memory. So it's something that you should also take note of. Traditional AI cannot use tools, but when it comes to agentic AI, you will see that they are software, that they are programs that they can go ahead to actually search the web, they can create websites, they can do a lot of things, right? So, have you guys heard of Crew AI before? If you have not heard of Crew AI, just go ahead to explore it. Crew AI. So Crew AI is actually a powerful tool that streamlines workflow for different and multiple industries, right? With powerful AI agents. If time permits us, we are going to also explore Crew AI. It's something that is very, very important to also learn if you are working with AI automations in this era. And I also have a detailed example of a project that I worked with Crew AI before. Let me see if I can pull that up. Um, Trust me, most of my projects on my GitHub repository are actually free for everyone. They're actually open source. All right. So if you want to go ahead to also explore it, I've built one with Crew AI before, which is like an AI agent blog writer. And basically, what this does is so this is the AI agent writer here. And what this does is it's just an AI powered blog writer that generates high quality blog posts based on user inputs, right? Um, yeah, so you can see it uses Crew AI for this. So basically, what it would do is you can pass in uh, your topic for this Crew. You can also pass in a YouTube video, and instead of you watching the video step by step, it's going to go ahead to actually generate this video outputs for you. Yes, so I created tools. You can see YouTube channel search tool. So what this does is yeah, so what this does is it goes into a YouTube channel and generate a detailed doc- blog post for you. Like it writes about the content about that YouTube channel. So you guys can go ahead to play around with this also. If you want to explore Crew AI, I'm going to drop it in the chat for you guys for those that want to play around with that. So yeah, so let's continue. One use tools and the other does not use tools. I think the last one again is going to be that the planning process, right? One has little or no planning, and second one has planning and reasoning. And that's because whenever you want to do a task, you will see that it analyzes your process step by step and tells you, oh, this is what I want to do. And right now, VS Code has done something amazing. I mean, there's also Cursor ID out there. If you want to use Cursor, you can go ahead to play around with Cursor also. But VS Code also does an amazing work, right? You can also now plan, right? You can now pick the plan method whereby you can now say, okay, I don't want this AI agent to ask for me first. I want to plan and build a sort of basic proof of concepts of the project that I want to work on before you start working on it, right? So basically, these are the major difference between agentic AI and traditional AI. All right. So now let's talk about real world applications of AI agent because this is very important. We need to also see where AI agents can be used in and what it can be used for. So number one on my list is going to be customer support agents, right? And what is this customer support agent? These are agents that can actually help you to auto reply emails and also categorize issues. All right. So you can look up on this. basically, what this does is, for example, if you have an email uh, that you want to be like a sort of customer support that can help you to basically read that, okay, if this email comes in, what do you want me to do? So the agent is going to go ahead to understand the context of the email and try to also draft a tailored reply to actually give you answer. And the reason why this is very important is because you don't want a situation whereby when a user sends you a mail, so let's say you have a customer support system without an agent. Obviously, you're going to build like an automated reply. And the reason why these are very important is because you need to actually see how to build things from different user perspective. Because if a user sends you an email like, okay, I want to ask about your product, for example, you don't want you don't want your assistant to be saying, "Thank you for reaching out to us. We'll get back to you later," something like that. Or whenever somebody say, "How much do you sell these products?" The bot will still reply, "Thank you for reaching out to us. We'll get back to you later." And that's one of the major downside I've seen with people that uses WhatsApp business, right? If you agree with me that when for those that have used WhatsApp business before, or you've actually messaged someone that uses WhatsApp business before, those automated reply whereby somebody might just come to your WhatsApp and say, "Oh, hi, good evening," and automatically whatever you've set to be your automated reply. For example, some people set, "We are not available right now, get back to us later." Even if you ask for price, "How much is your product?" "We are not available right now, get back to us later." So these are some things that are very, very important that I feel should be solved. And that's where AI agents are actually becoming very, very versatile in. So instead of those automated reply, how about if you have automated reply that can reply to your messages intuitively? So basically, they try to understand the context of the message that was provided and they give you detailed reply, right? So for example, if a customer comes in and say, "Oh, I want to know about your product," then that AI agent is already capable. You've trained that AI agent obviously on your database of the product that you sell, and the AI agent is actually capable of replying that person and giving that person either a detailed link or telling the person about your product. And if a user also come and say, "Hi, good evening," the AI agent is also very smart to say, "Okay, hi, good evening, how are you doing today?" Not that I just give automated reply, right? So AI automation has to be done intuitively also, not just you automating responses. All right. So let's go into the next example that we have, which is lead generation agent. This is something that I explained already. It's getting very, very used in the research companies right now. And what this does is, I know few of my friends that were able to use ChatGPT to they paid for the premium actually. And what they did is they were able to actually use this AI agent to perform deep research on scholarships, on schools that are funding scholarships, and um, professors' email, right? And the school contact. They were able to fetch out those information, create the created an Excel sheet where the agent was just fetching those information, dumping it there for them, fetching it, dumping it there for them, and they were able to take in those useful emails and try to apply for scholarships. And I know few of them that have gained scholarship through this way, right? So you would want to agree with me that it's very, very difficult sometimes to look for scholarship yourself, especially to just find one. It will take a lot of time. And imagine you're having a smart system, a smart intelligent system that can just help you to do research and give you over 20 to 100 schools that are offering scholarship in less than 15 minutes. Trust me, you agree with me that it's something that's going to take almost a week if someone was to do that himself without the help of this agent. So basically, you should also know that it's very important for you to understand what agentic system is, how it works, because it's going to really help you, especially if you are to perform tasks autonomously, right? So let's go into the next one, which is what social media automation agents. And when we talk about social media automation agents, these are agents that can basically help you to write and schedule posts. And after I talked about this when we were doing our Zapier class, you see that basically you can also create agents with Zapier, right? Agents that can help you to actually go into your social media handle and post a scheduled post within a given period of time. So, for example, if you have videos that you know that is actually sometimes very stressful to post on your social media every time, especially if you're a huge content creator, you can actually create an automated agent that can help you to write and schedule posts. But to be honest, the reason why I don't really like this is because sometimes if you just create agents to write and schedule posts for you automatically, it might not be the best solution or might not be very efficient because you need to also review what that agent has written before you go ahead to put it out to the public out there. So yeah, make sure to always review whatever output your agent is giving you, and that's why when we were also doing our readme, I was able to tell you that okay, let's read through what we have. Let's see if it's something that we can accept. If it's something that we can accept, you cannot go ahead to accept it. If not, then you can go ahead to improve your prompt, pass it to your model, and make sure that you are getting exactly what you want. Another one is research agents. I can't talk more or less on this one because I've seen this agent helping people very well. And if I go to my ChatGPT, for example, so let me just teach you guys something that you might have seen but don't know is very very important, right? So if you go to chatgpt.com, for example, you have something like this. What you can do is if you want to ask a question. So, for example, you want to say, okay, get me a scholarship or help me look for schools that offers fully funded scholarship, right? Now, ChatGPT has built that system whereby it is very, very smart that it now identify if you are trying to actually search for something, and it goes ahead to trigger that agent that basically search for web. But normally, what you will want to do is you can actually pick deep research. You can click on web search, and what this web search is going to do, um, you can click on web search. And what this website is going to do is it's going to run some autonomous agent that's going to go ahead to scrape the internet, right? And let's go ahead to run this and see what we get, right? And you'll see we have this agent searching the web, searching for universities. You can see they are very great question. And now it's going ahead to give me the answer and also the reference, all right? So if I go ahead to click on any of these links, you can see Stanford University. And if I click on the link, obviously it's taking me there. And basically, these are the usefulness of agents, right? They can go ahead and you can see that this is very recent, right? Because this is okay, this is actually closed, right? This is actually closed. But let's see, October 2025, I think this was closed last month. You also have one, this is also 2025, but you can also pass it to your prompts to improve that. Okay, this agent should be able to only search for scholarship from this particular month to this other month. So you can see that most of these ones are July 14, which is expired. Also, I can improve my prompt and say make sure the date is from December 2025 upward, right? And basically I'm giving it feedback right now, and now it's telling me that okay, I'm going to start from all what scholarship from 2025 to this is and this. um it didn't give us the source, which is something that we would want. Okay, it gave us the source, very good. So you can see this graduate scholarship which is happening in MBZA. and the deadline should be something around December or 2026. Very good. You can see that, right? And these are the works of agents. They can go ahead to scrape internet and give you output very, very easily. All right. So those are some examples of research agent. I mean, there are also technical examples where you can use some of these agents to run your research. For example, if you are writing your schoolwork and you want to write research papers, you can actually go ahead to use these agents to carry out some of these tasks. All right. The next one I also want is I'm going to talk about is report generation agents, right? What this does is it basically just helps you to collect data and reproduce summary reports. So for example, if you are trying to go ahead to read like a huge number of documents that is, I mean, so cumbersome that sometimes it might even be complicated for you to even digest, right? You can give agents to actually go ahead to collect data from different sources, and it goes ahead to produce summary reports. And don't forget again that the reason why most of this is possible for you to do is because this agent uses LLM as their brain. And we already know what LLM is, right? LLMs are basically models, right? That is a type of AI that uses like vast data sets and deep learning to understand and generate human language. So basically, LLM, we can say LLM is also the brain of AI agents, and we're going to get to talk about that when we get to the AI agent architecture. All right. So now let's go into the AI agent architecture. Very good. Now we are here. What are the core components? The first core component is the what is the brain, and the brain is basically the LLM, right? Whatever you are, even ChatGPT uses an LLM under the hood. Copilot, same thing. Cursor, same thing. Augment code, Kiwi code, um, whatever AI tool you are, whatever platform you are using that uses AI, it uses LLM under the core architecture because LLM is the brain of AI agents, right? It also uses tools that can take actions, right? It can run through APIs, it can run through browsers, it can run through your code, right? It also has memory, and memory is basically what it remembers. And this is very important because remember that when we finish this, we had to say, okay, great work. I want you to add step-by-step process on how to create a virtual environment. And it was able to remember that, oh, we were talking about this and this. So obviously, I'm going to continue work on my readme.md file. All right. We also have reasoning engine, which is how it thinks. We also have the planner, which basically breaks tasks into steps. Right, it's very important. It breaks tasks into steps. We also have the executor, which is responsible for you for running each step. So once an agent is done thinking, that's planned, that's reason, then we have an executor that is going to be able to go ahead to run that task for you. Um, you also have the feedback loop, which is I'm responsible for basically self-correcting if there is any mistake or if the user says, "Hey, no, you didn't do this rightly." Then that feedback loop is able to identify the files that it has created or the tasks that it has run and correct its mistake, right? Talking of AI agent, also, there are some detailed example that I would love you to check it out. This was some architecture that was built by the AI agent OS. So a very detailed example that I would want you guys to try out is building like a sort of language assistant AI agent. Or let me go ahead to see if I can bring that up for you guys quickly. So for those that want to play around with the basics, you can go ahead to also check out this. This was built with the um, Gen AI Agent OS system. If you guys know about Gen AI, you would know what I'm talking about. It's a very, very powerful um, platform, right? So yeah, I think this was built like 5 months ago, thereabouts. So what this does is just a simple platform that goes ahead to pick an agent, then basically pass an agent from one to the other. And I think if you want to see the video on how this works, you can see detailed documentation right here. Every of my repository code base actually have a detailed repo. So if you can read, calm down, you'll see how this works. And you can see how these agents work. From the master agent, it went to the translation agent, which then translates from English to Spanish. And we also have the master agent, which then give you the master output of what you are looking for. All right. And if you also want to watch the video, you can go ahead to watch the video. I think I provided a video right there. So the repository is called AI Agent Translator. You go ahead to play around with this. I also did a detailed explanation on how each of these language translation AI agents work. So you can just go ahead to play around with it. I explained very well, and you will be good to go. All right. So I'm also going to drop that in the chat for you guys in case you want to check it out. But without any further ado, let's continue with our class, right? So, for the architecture, you have something like this, right? You have from the AI agents, basically LLM, as we all know, because LLM is basically the brain of AI agents, right? So after LLM, it goes to the reasoning engine, which is now able to say, okay, pass it to the planner, then the tools, and also the memory before it goes ahead to execute the task and give you feedback loop. Um, so now that we understand all of that, let's go on into Langchain, right? Because of our time. So for Langchain, we're just going to be scratching the surface and trying to open our account and set it up and get ready for our next class. If I'm audible, if you guys can hear me very well, I want you to drop a yes in the chat. Can you guys hear me very well? All right, good. Are you also following? Because that's very important. All right, good, good. Thank you very much for the confirmation. So before we continue, I would like to ask questions. So for those that are following me, um, can someone just mention basically a brief characteristics of AI agents? Anyone wants to go? If you want to go, just raise your hand. What are the key things that AI agents can actually do for you? If you want to talk, just raise your hand so I can give you the floor. Um, or you can also drop it in the chat. But while I wait for you, let me go ahead to call my friends that I have right here. All right, Lynn, are you there? This is the
Yes.
second time I'm calling you. Very good. I don't know why your profile is attracting me, but yeah, let's go ahead to hear from you.
Okay. For something that's standing out for the AI agent is that they're able to reason, they have memory, and
Mm-hmm.
they are able to break down tasks into small chunks that they can they can able to reason and give meaningful feedback.
Yes, very good. Actually, wanted to mention one, but you mentioned close to two or three, and that's really nice. So well done on that end. But yeah, let's go with Joshua. Are you there? Joe, are you there? Kindly unmute your mic. Okay. If Joe isn't there, let's go with Tony. Tony, are you there? Okay, if Tony isn't there also, are you guys active? Okay. Yes, Joshua is active actually because he just dropped a yes in the chat. If you can hear me, Joshua, kindly unmute your mic. But why we do that in order not to waste much of our time? Okay, let's go on with Dave. Dave, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess agents generally can manage communication and events, whereby they can automate um, monotonous processes such as answering emails, setting up calendar events, and also um, yeah, following protocol and procedures.
Okay, very good. Who just talked now? I didn't see your name. Who was that? What was your name? What's your name, Order? Was that David? Okay. Let's move on then. So yeah, let's talk about Langchain, right? And it's very very important to understand what Langchain is because basically Langchain is just like a tool or framework that would help us to perform all of these tasks that are very important, right? Um, so let's talk about what is Langchain, and basically you just need to understand that um, Langchain is basically a open source framework that simplifies building of applications that are powered by large language models, right? So quickly, if we head over to our browser and we search for Langchain, all right. Yeah. You will see that LangChain also have like different ecosystem, and they're able to work with different resources. Right. We also have the LangChain Academy. We also have LangGraph, which I'm also going to talk to you about. You can see we have LangChain, we have LangGraph, we have the deep agents, we have the evaluation. Under Langsmith, actually, we have the observation, evaluation, and deployment. All right, which we're going to talk about, right? Obviously, the time frame that we have is not going to be enough to cover all of this, but I'll make sure I touch on the basics so that you guys are going to be understand. You're going to understand what these platforms are, and in case you also want to go ahead to um, actually build your own project, it's not going to be much of a hassle for you guys. All right. Yeah. So basically, LangChain is just an open source framework that will help your life very well. And I know why I'm saying this because this is used by companies to build scalable and robust applications that are powered by large language models and also AI agents, right? So you can see ship agents to production with LangChain, compressive platform for agent engineering. And you can see Langchain products power top engineering team from AI startup to global enterprise. And you can see the various platforms that they support, right? We have Vanta, we have GitLab, Cloudflare. By the way, Cloudflare is really doing some amazing work right now. We also have LinkedIn, powered by them, right? So it gives you visibility control, fast iteration, durable performance, model neutral, and so on and so forth, right? And these two things are basically something that you need to also learn when it comes to AI agents, right? You need to understand basically land graph, and also you need to understand Langsmith. You'll be working with Langsmith mostly when you want to build agentic system. And obviously, you see that we have touched some of LangChain communities before, like document loaders. We've also touched text splitters, right? We'll talk about that more also when we are building some of these projects, right? All right, so let's continue with our slide. Yes, so when it comes to Langchain, basically there are just some certain things that you need to know that Langchain provides, right? Uh, so what do they provide? They provide prompt templates, right? So when you're working with Langchain and you want to build uh, maybe a smart chatbot, right? You would notice that you need to also create some templates, prompt templates, so that your model or chatbot can understand what you are trying to build. Just to give it context, right? For those systems that uses chatbots right now, this most of the key thing behind the chatbot systems are prompt engineering. And just like the example that I showed you of my website where I created that simple chatbot, I didn't use any external framework. I didn't use no library. The only thing I used was I just used Croc API key, and I was able to build my own chatbot from scratch, right? Train the model, pass it the prompt. Basically, just pass it the prompt to just make sure that my model will understand that whenever the user is chatting with me, but like in a bot form, all right, if that makes sense. So, right, so you can also create chains. Basically, chains are just what connects different prompt engineering with the LLM, just to make sure that you have everything connected very well. Next thing is we also have memory, and what this will allow you to do is with LangChain, once we create an account. So first, I want everyone to go ahead to LangChain and sign up first. Once you have signed up, just drop the screenshot on the Discord channel that you signed up, right? So let's go to the link that I sent in the chat. I want you to create an account. Just come here and click sign up. Once you click sign up, it's going to take you to somewhere around this page. Then just hit sign up. I'm going to give you guys just 60 seconds to do that quickly. So if you have done that, just drop it in the Discord chat. Quickly, I'm going to count 60 seconds. If you've started, just give a thumbs up. All right, very good. I can see thumbs up that you guys have started. All right, very good. Once you've done that, just drop a screenshot. Don't forget in the chat. I'm going to be there following you just to make sure that you are also with me. All right. Yeah, very good. So once you have done that, um, okay, we'll come back here. Very good. Let me just continue and finish what we have right here. Um, yeah. So calling, very good. It also works with document loaders. Like I explained, you can see what we did: document loaders, by PDF loaders, right? You can load text splitters. You know what? Let's just do something quickly. Um, let's do LangChain documents, right? You will see that LangChain has a powerful documentation, right? So basically, how we did it, you can load CS the same thing, right? There are different ways you can use it, and you can, if you want to integrate with OpenAI, you can use OpenAI, Azure Chat OpenAI also. If you want to use Google, which is Gemini, if you want to use Hugging Face, I've told you guys about Hugging Face before. You can see we also have embedding models, which the documentation is actually very very nice because they put a lot to put this into best practice. You can see we have OpenAI embeddings, Langchain OpenAI. You can also click on it to see how to use that, and you see that with just a couple lines of code, you will get started and basically get running. Basically, in your environment, that's where you have to pass your Langchain OpenAI key. and your Langchain tracing, which is true, which means that whenever you run the application, Langchain is going to keep track of it, right? We also have the Langsmith API key, which you'll be getting from Langchain itself. If you just come to Langchain and you come to home, you can see I have different projects running which I've used before. You can go ahead to actually, you know what, let's try to, you can go ahead to create new models. If you want to create OpenAI API key, so if you want to create API key, just come to um, API key right there and just click the API key. You can create new API key, whatever you want to do. But trust me, in order not to rush right now, we're going to do all of this. And we're going to play around with LangChain very well. So I know there was some of this I built back then. So um, let's filter by um, all time, right? Because I know I've used it before a couple of times ago. I know there were error rates and the likes. Um, So one thing I like about LangChain is it's going to actually show you the amount you are spending per output by the request that you are running. I don't know what I can see calls, see traces, errors, all time, trends. Maybe they do remove projects that have not been active for long because I've done this quite a while right now. Let me see if I can see anyone that is more recent. Chatbot with Ulama. Let's filter. Uh, I think this two can show. But basically, I've built like different chatbots with this before and QA, right? But I'm going to come back to the playground very soon, right? So let's continue. Sorry. Yes. So like as I was saying before, I can see some of us are dropping screenshot already. Are we? Um, if you have signed up, please kindly go ahead to drop screenshot on the chat, please, so I can know you guys are following me. Right. Once you've created an account and you're able to sign in successfully, just go ahead to drop it in the AI automation engineering chat. All right, very good. Again, RAG toolkit. We've talked about document loaders, agents. We all know what agents are. Now, RAG toolkit, which is basically retrieval augmented generation. And basically, what this allows you to do is when you're building platform that is around RAG applications, Langchain will give you very uh, smooth process of you building your RAG application from start to finish. And also, you are going to be able to track whatever you are doing. Someone is saying they can't hear me. Um, I would assume this is a previous chat. I hope everyone can hear me though. Okay, good. Thank you, Lynn, for that. So yeah, also integration with many models like OpenAI, Gemini, Llama, like I'm going to be showing you now. You will see that it's very seamless to actually integrate um, to use LangChain with all of these. And today, don't worry, we're just going to scratch the surface today, nothing much. So I want you to just make sure that you understand what we did in today's class and what I explained in today's class. Um, Also, so that when we start building this project end to end, you are going to be able to follow along. All right, I can see people dropping that screenshot already, and they are good to go, right? So yeah, once you are done signing up, like I said earlier on, they have like this different ecosystem where we have Langsmith, Langserve. And once we start exploring Langchain, you would see how useful these platforms are, right? You see how they connect to each other. We'll see how we can create our OpenAI key. And instead of viewing our platform in OpenAI, we'll see how we can trace everything using Langchain, right? Because that's one of the powerful features of Langchain. You can go ahead to basically trace whatever you are doing, whatever you are working on in your LAN chain application, right? It gives you that platform to actually view everything. So, with that being said, we've talked about everything. Now, let's go ahead to explore the LAN chain ecosystem, right? Um, so, all right here also, you can see that next thing that you need to actually know is you need to actually explore the documentations, right? So, this documentation right here, you have your documentations for different platforms, right? You have for different models that Langchain provides you with. All you have to do is just to be able to basically solve this and know what you want to do. If you are confused, also you can just click on Get Started and explore this documentation. So sometimes navigating through Langchain documentation might be a lot if you're a beginner. So what I do advise is you just need to know what you want to do. Whenever you want to build like a ROG application, or you want to build like you want to fine tune a model, or you can go ahead to simply just do a quick search on Google. So for example, if I say I'm working on a project and I want to load, let's say, JSON file. I just come here, JSON, how to, or just say load JSON using LangChain, right? So basically, once you search for it, you will see we have JSON loader docs by LangChain. So once you come here, you will see the code on how to basically set it up, credentials. You have to pip install this and you'll see how to run it, right? So in case you come into any issues that you're having that you can't find in the documentation, sometimes it might be very, very difficult to navigate, and I understand so. A few years ago when I started using LangChain also. So it's the same thing. So it's looking like a lot because back then the LangChain documentation was not as detailed as what we have right here. All right. So quick start. We've already explored some basic examples of LangChain before. So you should be good to go. So if you want to install it, you don't need to install everything, right? Just like what we did in our project. Whenever you want to work on any LangChain feature, so LangChain, you have to install Lang because that's the base core library. Then sometimes you might want to use LangChain community, or you might want to use LangChain text splitter, and that's when you go ahead to add it to your environment one by one when you want to use them, right? So that's just about that. Pip, I would advise you to always use UV because UV now is more faster and more better, right? So you can see we have models right here. And basically, this is where you'll be able to see models that you can actually integrate with LangChain. How you can pass it those parameters. I mean, you can see the temperature, the token, the timeout. Everything is actually very detailed right here. If you want to use memory also, whereby the chatbot will be able to have previous memory on what you gave it before. You can go ahead to also use this, right? I can see you have in production, you can use Postgres. Um, but if you are not in production, you're just building, you can use the in-memory library, right? So there are different stuffs. You can just come here, play around with this. But what I want you guys to do is I want you to play around with this playground, right? So this playground will allow you to be able to enter your variable, ask question, do whatever you want to do. Put whether the person is the AI, whether the person is system, just like what we did here in our chatbot, if you remember, where we say this role is what user, system, and role is what user. So you can actually change your role right here, right? You can actually just play around with this and ask chatbots, play around with it, create API key. If you are good in it, just create API key. Try to build a simple application that can just maybe a simple chatbot right now. Um, Create a chatbot that can connect your LangChain right here. So right here, all you have to do is just to load your LangChain environment variable right here and pass it as a chain to this prompt. And once you ask question, you'll be seeing your answer right here. You'll be seeing the documentation, or you'll be seeing the process of how you're asking question right here in Langsmith. But yeah, with that being said, that will just be all for this lecture and Langsmith. By tomorrow's class, when we are doing our live example, you are going to have a detailed understanding of how to even use it even more better. All right. So with that being said, that will be the end for now. Does anyone have any question? If you have any question or you want to ask anything, you can just let me know. That'll be all for today's class. So we don't waste much of our time. So tomorrow, just get ready. So tomorrow, just get ready. Tomorrow, we're going to be playing around with a live examples of building our own projects. By the way, I also sent some examples to the chat. If you have not checked that out, please do well to check it out. It's very, very important. I've also said the code base on GitHub. Okay, do you want me, guys? Do you want me to push the code base to GitHub for you guys, or you want me to just paste this in the Discord channel? Everybody wants push, push, push. Okay, I think we are all familiar with GitHub, right? Then let's do that. It's not straightforward, right? Let's do it together, right? And let's go ahead to create a new repo. Let's see what kind of create a new repo. Going to create repo for you guys. Make sure that we don't push our env. Very important. We create a new file right here and do .git. Ignore. We want to make sure that we don't push our .venv, and we don't also push our .env. Let me see catching that. Very important to catch that. Now you can see that it's still showing that our EAV is going to be pushed, right? And we don't want that. Let's use agents to actually do this quickly, because I can do this, but I can just do a quick research and search on how to do that. But let's do it ignore and just write it. Help me ignore my .env file and venv environment, right? And we can use just a simple model for that. Let's use grok code for that fast, and basically it corrects it for us. Basically, let's see how it's gonna work. Basically, you should just tell us the step and give us the output. Basically,
I think the problem is from the backslash. You're not supposed to have that backslash.
backslash.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see what the copilot is going to do for us quickly. Is it supposed to be front slash or backslash?
.env .env.venv.
I
Yes.
did .env
It
to
didn't work.
see how grok. It didn't work. So you can see how Grok is wasting my time. That's why I do like Grok model, right? You can stop this and just use plus 4.5 to stop this, right? Um, and use plus 4.5. So that's why sometimes you need to know the power of some models, right? And you can see how Grok you can see how plus 4.5 just did that for me. Oh, it should be.
The
Hmm?
slash comes at the end.
Is that supposed to be so? Because if it's so, I'm supposed to. This is not working, and the reason. This is not supposed to be highlighted again. It's working actually. Um, but you know what? Let's do something quickly. We can push
You can remove it, then
and
you can remove it, then push. Remove the environment, then push.
it does not even itself. There's something that we can do. Oh, I know why. I know why. It's because we've not run the Git init. Lynn, you have a question. Go ahead. Are you guys
I
doing
wanted,
correct me?
yes, I wanted to help, but yeah.
You wanted to say that we didn't add Git init?
I wanted to say maybe you need to remove it from if it was you had already had Git
Oh,
tracking, you need to remove it from Git,
okay.
then you add it in the Git. No.
Okay. Where are we in? Oh, I'm using Bash. Damn. Let me go ahead to create. Oh, it should work. So this should work. Mm, okay, this should work now. Good, good. So you can see the ENV now is now cleared. So what I will do right now is I can now go ahead to add my files, right? But this is a also right because if I'm trying to say git add and if I'm saying git add, then I'm saying I want to add maybe chatbot dot py, then I'll now say dash git commit dash m, right? Then I'll say add chat bot code, right? Then I've done that. It's one by one, right? But there's a faster way I can do this, which I will just come here to my VS Code, click on this icon, right? I can elapse it, and I can use my AI agents to just automatically generate um, uh, messages for me instead of me doing it manually. So I'm going to add this. It's going to tell me add git ignore virtual environment files. Does this smoothly. Also, this what this is running now is it's going ahead to check my code base, and the agent is basically summarizing everything that I did in that README file and adding it as a message right here in the chat. So this is just a way you can also fasten up your process when you're trying to commit your messages. But make sure you're always reading your model output very well. I have my own configured already, right? Add to comment txt. You can see everything is actually very up to date. Data, let's do this for you. You can go ahead to add this also. Add speech to text also for you guys. Generate the output. Add generate PDF. Very correct. So this is a way you can also fast. Now, it's not good to actually just add all your files at once and just push it. It's not really make sense, right? Because if you do that, it would um, it will not give someone that is trying to read through your GitHub repository a sense of what each file was committed for. So this Python refresher course, you might not really need it. It's just something that you can access via the link I sent to you previously. So let's publish branch, or we can just do. Sorry, we cannot publish it because we need to add the GitHub repo. Sorry about that. Let's create a new repo. Situri new repo for that quickly. I was wondering why my stuff was taking me back, but yeah, let's name it one dev. All right, one dev, and I'll make this public. I don't need to read me git ignore no jumpstart, and let's go ahead to create repository. So yeah, I need to change my branch name to main because currently I'm sure it's name master. So all we need to do is just rename it to main. We'll just do git branch dash m and we'll name it to main. Then what we need to do is to push, right? Then we'll just add this one, the repo URL first. Then we'll just do git push dash show then origin main. Then once we do that and we come here to refresh, our code base is going to be updated. So yeah, I can now go ahead to share this link with you guys in the chat, and you can check in your Discord channel also. I'm dropping this right now. I can see you guys are already popping up already. Already showing your project that you've worked on. That really makes sense. Sorry, I already could put in your account that you created. That really makes sense. Um, so yeah, I might have to. Okay, let's just leave it as one dev. Let's leave it like this. I might rename it to one dev AI automation later on. But I think yeah, we are good to go for by that already. We have the latest code base there, and whenever we're creating new projects, I'm going to be pushing it to that repo. So yeah, I think that's all from my end. Aisha, I don't know if there are questions for me or you guys have anything to ask. If you have any question, please go ahead. Feel free to ask me right now. Um, yes. Please, one day if you can, go ahead, take over.
Towards the end
Sorry, I can't really hear you very well.
extra year.
Is it just me, or can anyone hear Aisha very well?
I think Aisha's network is having an issue.
Can anyone hear me now?
Okay, better. Yes.
Okay, yes, better.
Uh,
Wow.
Dave,
Aisha, your network is actually not stable, so you're off and on.
just take the
Can everybody hear Aisha?
No, not very well.
Okay. So, Mr. David, thank you so much. This is in depth. I don't know about the students, but I would like us to have one or two questions. We have also exceeded our time, but if anybody has question to ask, please um let's take it immediately so that we can round up for today. Any question? It seems we don't have questions today. I suppose. So we continue the learning in Discord channel so that people will go and rest. It's already late. Thank you, Mr. David, once again. Thank you, the students. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Mr. Abdul, for your time. And we'll still have another time tomorrow. Same time, 8 p.m. East African time, 6 p.m. West African time. Please, let's continue to learn and build together. This is an interesting track, and we don't have to miss any bit of it till the end of it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Yeah, you survive.